Okay, ladies, hello, hello, hello. So, ladies, after Monday's conversation about cholesterol, I know a lot of women walked away, stepped away, whatever, thinking, okay, that makes sense, but what does that actually look like for me? Because it's one thing to understand it, and it's another thing to recognize it in your own body. So I want to tell you a story because honestly, the best way to understand this is to see how it plays out in real life. I had a woman come to me. She'd been told her cholesterol was high out of the blue, and she was doing all the right things. She was eating well, she was trying to stay on track, looking after herself, and then suddenly she's being told, you need to go on statins. So, so she reacted as most do with fear, which the doctor, tried to allay and say, there are options, or there is an option. So she did what most women do. She started the medication, but she was a little unsure, and so she did some Googling because she hadn't been on any medication, was quite proud of the fact that she was at her age without being on any medication. And after the Googling, her fear grew, but she felt compelled now. But she didn't feel great on them either. What she was experiencing out of the possible list, was the muscle pain, the fatigue, the digestive issues. For her, it was constipation and headaches. And as if she didn't need those on top of her menopausal symptoms. So it was getting a little bit of a murky water. What's menopause? What's the statins? What am I doing? So she stopped. She stopped taking the statins, and at her next test with the GP, her cholesterol had gone back up again. And so she felt stuck because nothing was really making sense. She felt fine off the statins, didn't feel great on the statins, but went off the statins and her cholesterol started rising again. That's when she thought she'd try another approach. And when she came to me and we spoke, it wasn't just cholesterol. It was, I don't eat that much, but I'm gaining weight. It was, my energy drops in the afternoon. It was also, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but my body isn't responding. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Is that familiar with you? If you're here live, if you're watching the replay, let me know if that sounds familiar. So, and this is what I want you to hear. These weren't separate issues. They were part of the same pattern. So instead of jumping straight into let's lower your cholesterol, the first step was let's understand your risk profile. Understand properly where you're at and what risk is that to you. Because cholesterol is only one piece of the picture. We looked at her overall cardiovascular risk to get more clarity, working alongside her GP. And she was given, because we did that, because I sent her back to the GP to get that risk profile done, the GP said that she was happy for her to have some space to try something different. Because this is not about being anti-medication or anti-GP, it's about being informed, supported, and looking at the full picture. So we didn't chase cholesterol. We supported her body, her metabolism, her stress, her inflammation, her rhythm, and over time, things began to shift. Her waste reduced, her energy improved, her blood pressure settled because it was rising as well, and her cholesterol, HDL, that's the good cholesterol, went up. LDL, the bad cholesterol, came down. So her overall pattern improved. So did her inflammatory markers, actually. But here's the most important part. She understood her body again. And this is where I want to bring it back to you. If you've been told your cholesterol is high and you've been thinking, what does it actually mean for me? What should I even do? Before jumping into your fixing, maybe ask yourself, what is my body responding to? Yeah, a different question, isn't it? How do I get my cholesterol down? What is my body responding to? Because cholesterol doesn't rise in isolation. Now, you might be thinking, I eat well, but my numbers are still high. Why? You might be thinking, do I need to worry? You might be thinking, should I just take the statins? You might be thinking, why has this changed now? So drop the question, any questions below, or just tell me that's what's happening for me. So let me know if this resonates. If this has been happening for you, you feel you're doing all the right things and yet your cholesterol's rising, or these other symptoms as murkying the waters, let me know and we'll try and make some sense of it for you. And if this week has made you realize I don't just need another diet, I need to actually understand what's going on with my body, that's exactly why I created the 28-day midlife metabolic reset, because it's not about chasing one symptom. It's about stabilizing your system. It's about supporting your metabolism. It's about helping your body respond the right way again. Your cholesterol is not the enemy. It's a message. And when you understand what it's pointing to, everything starts to get a lot clearer. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch Monday's live, where I talked about the different types of cholesterol, the contributing factors to why it rises. Then on Tuesday, I did a post. Actually, I can't remember what day I did everything. I did a post writing it out, because some of us learn by listening, some of us learn by reading, and some of us need both for it to integrate in our brain. All right, so have a look at those as well. And just remember, you're not necessarily doing it wrong. You're just being given information. We need to interpret that properly though. So as I said, if what I've talked about today or this week sounds like your life, I want to have a proper conversation with you. Not a sales call, a clinical conversation where I can tell you honestly what I think is going on. So I'll pop the link to my diary, to my calendar in the first comment below, if there's no other comments there, if you're wanting to have that clinical conversation. Otherwise, I'll see you all next week. I'm going to be talking about visceral fat. That's the not so healthy fat, especially around our belly.